It's Christmas Eve in L.A.
California.
Is Daddy coming home soon?
Well, we'll see what Santa and Mommy can do, okay?
And New York cop John McClane has come to see his wife.
I missed you.
Instead...
Yeah, babe.
Babe, I had told you that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
Babe, Die Hard is most certainly a Christmas movie.
Can't you do an original like the clay animation Rudolph or Frosty the Snowman?
That's exactly what I'll do. Happy wife, happy life. I love you, baby.
Love you.
It's Christmas Eve in L.A.
California.
Is Daddy coming home soon?
Well, we'll see what Santa and Mommy can do, okay?
And New York cop John McClane has come to see his wife.
I missed you.
Instead, he's going to have to save her.
Sit down.
Within this skyscraper high above the city, 12 terrorists have declared war.
They're about to be taught a lesson in the real use of power.
They're as brilliant
Because I am interested in the $640 million in your vault.
as they are ruthless.
And I'm telling you, you're just gonna have to kill me. Okay. We do it the hard way.
Now, the last thing McClane wants
Think, damn it, think.
is to be a hero.
Where's Howie? Hey, Tucker! Where?
But he doesn't have a choice.
What does he think he's doing?
Job.
They have already killed one hostage.
This channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
Lady, do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza?
He's inside? Who is he?
Inside.
Who are you then? You are most troublesome for a security guard.
Sorry, wrong guess, huh? Would you like to go for double jeopardy?
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, mother. You just destroyed a building. And I am in charge of this situation.
I got some bad news for you. From up here, that look like you're in charge of Jack.
He is alone, he is tired, and he hasn't seen dipping squat from anybody down here.
Hey, pal, how you feeling?
All things being equal, I'd rather be in Philadelphia.
And you have it.
Only John can drive somebody that crazy.
He's an easy guy to like
Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
and a hard man to kill.
Rudolph, fly hard.
Got invited to the Christmas party by mistake. Who knew?
and gentlemen, you're listening to yet another episode of Rogan Radio live from Studio A here on the friendly confines of Casa La Rogan Lumberport. Now, I just got a bunch of looks because before you do anything, you always have to stretch out. Like if you're going to do a run, like what we noticed down at the turkey trot, you got to stretch your muscles.
Yeah.
If you're going to go ahead and you're going to lift weights, you know what you do?
Hence the yoga pants tonight.
Okay.
I just went ahead and wore them because I heard so much talk about yoga pants that just made me want to wear them tonight.
You're welcome.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you what's great. And I didn't tell the fellas this. On Thursday, on Thanksgiving morning, we went over to Shinston. All of us. We had 9 cameras set up through town to film the turkey trot, 5K, local 5K, walk and run. It was fantastic. Turned out fantastic.
The video was awesome.
Yeah, so one of the best things I have to say is stuff you will never, ever see. And last year, we got these two-way walkie-talkies, so we all have now communication. We used to have to go through Messenger, just like that. As I Todd, make sure you get that. It's like, Jimmy, get out of the way here. They come.
Jimmy,
I love yoga pants.
Camera up, Jimmy. Camera up,
clear for
Jimmy.
taxi on one way. It's one tree over. Roger that.
Nice ass shot, Jim. Nice ass shot.
Wrangler butts drive me nuts.
Love yoga pants.
So what's hilarious is as I'm going through all of this footage, and we had tons of footage, which you guys really outdid yourselves this time. We've done this. This is the 4th year in a row that we've done a turkey trot, and it's kind of hard, just like a parade. It's kind of hard not to be redundant every year in the same kind of things you capture. The joy of the film crew here at Rogan Radio is that it never becomes redundant. I mean, the shots are different. Everything's completely something different. When we go to the band, do the band stuff. When we do a parade, when we do the turkey trot, you guys are fantastic at doing that. Hats off to you, because it makes my job a hell of a lot easier. I still cuss you a lot, but when I'm here by myself. But nevertheless, so anyhow, though, I'm going through all of this footage, and one of them. Listen, he hasn't done this for a long time. I talk with my hands. I'm going to start talking with thunder and lightning.
Good. I just like doing it. I like mocking you. I like being just like you.
I'm glad you said mock with an M.
Yeah, I did.
So anyhow, one of the greatest shots that, and you can hear the walkie-talkies, D-Mac is walking up over the bridge. You're walking up over the bridge. And Todd, it gets on there and goes, should I say this? Yeah, I'll say that. He goes, have I ever said how much I like yoga pants?
Over. Anybody?
So then all of a sudden you hear D-Mac laughing a little bit because everywhere he is, we can hear each. You know, there's all these. Chad's got a walkie-talkie. Darren's got a walkie-talkie. Everybody's got these walkie-talkies. So then I go down there and I go, have I ever mentioned I love them too? Talk is, they're really sexy. So then my last thing was I was like, by the way, I'd really like to see you in them. Scratch that. I'd like to see you out of them. So you can hear all this conversations going on as we're filming the same thing, and it turns out great. But part of the fun of it is when you go back and watch all this video, the stuff that you will never see, you see this epic kind of this film, right? They're more or less films. And then you listen, the pleasure that I get is going back and listen. Like Jimmy's talking to himself. Jimmy's all by himself freezing. He's got, Jimmy, I have a great picture of Jimmy, and it's just totally freezing. And but he's talking to himself. He's talking to me through his microphone. He's like, hey, listen, I'm going to set this camera up here, and listen, it's cold, but I'm going to set this camera up here. And he's talking to himself, talking to me. Just go ahead and do this, and this will be a great shot for this. And I'm thinking, and so one of these days we're going to have a blooper show about that.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, because they can't hear it. All they get is the footage. They don't get the
audio.
There was great stuff.
There was something you guys said that was pretty funny, and I can't remember where it was. And you and Darren were across from me. You know what I mean? Like where the people came by.
Right.
You and Darren and I think Erica were across from me, and I was over there, and I just had that thing hanging, off my. And you guys said something, and I had it turned up, and all these people turned.
I was thinking about that too, because not only can we hear, but the two ways are so loud, everybody else can hear the same thing.
I was right on the bridge, and everybody's talking about yoga pants. Everybody running by, just giggling.
What? What did it say?
But you know what? All these conversations, I was the only one didn't have a walkie-talkie.
I know, yeah.
Listen, I had my times, and God bless Bruce, because what happened was when we went to the turkey trot, we had all of us together. This is one of these very few events that, it was Thanksgiving morning, and we went out there. I told everybody that the gobble wobble, which is for the kids, was going to be at 8 o'clock. Turns out it wasn't until 8:50. Well, Bruce gets to Shinson in typical Bruce fashion because he's always punctual at 5 o'clock in the morning. So he sends me a text and he goes, it's a little dark outside for the race. It's like, well, it is 5 o'clock in the morning, Bruce. So then Darren comes over at 7 and I'm watching this. We start talking about nuclear explosions and how the world's going to end and everything else. Michelle comes out of the room and she's like, it's just too cold for me. Erica comes out. We split. Everything works out fine. But Bruce was already. You were set up over there by Big Elm over on.
I just wanted to go all the way just to get that
a different shot.
Yeah,
and that's what you said too. You said you want something different. That's the first time I think we ever had a camera down there.
It is
by Big Elm.
Yeah. That's the turning point.
Yeah, so when I saw that on, I thought, you know what, that worked out really good.
Yeah,
because it's different. And like you said, there's only so many shots you can get, but we mixed it up. And
this year we had 9 cameras rolling around this year of town, and it turned out. I mean, it was hard not to get a good shot. I mean, that makes my job a lot easier. Instead of spending 7 hours in here, it was only 6 hours and 50 minutes. So it was really, you guys did a hell of a good job there. Woo! You know, it was fantastic, and we want to really thank everybody that came down, and they had a lot of volunteers. Stacy and Jason Talkington, you know, put it on there for the Marie Gasson 4-H Scholarship Fund. It was absolutely a blast.
Yeah, Stacy put on a comment. She said, "Thank you for the amazing footage." She said,
"Yeah, we had a good time as we always do. It was as we always do." Anyway,
wait, hey, listen real quick. Back to the. Do we know how many people were in the race? Do we know compared to last year or years previous?
We'll say close to 1,000.
Yeah, WDTV had a thing on there. It's like almost 1,000. So.
Okay.
It had to be. We'll just say 1,000.
Yeah. Okay.
Tell me who's on here, and
we got Debbie Burrows.
Hello, Debbie.
Clay Clark jumped on here. Chuck.
John Harvick.
Todd
Hall.
Brandon Mushgrove.
Hello, Brandon.
Stoneberger.
Donnie.
Mrs. McIntyre.
Yeah.
Oh,
ooh, Vicky McBeck's on here. I don't know who she is.
You can't forget the Mark Miller. Yeah.
Mark
Miller's on here?
Yeah.
Mark Miller.
He's not.
Mac Miller. Didn't he die?
No,
Pam
Mark
Kirby.
Hello, Pam Kirby.
Jason Talkington said, "Hey, honey, guys and gals." He turned it on late. So Jason Talkington said, "With the gobble wobble, over 900." He said,
"Oh, that's fantastic."
Awesome. Yeah.
So that's a pretty good turnout for little old Shinston, West Virginia. You know,
Especially since it was so cold.
Yeah, it was cold as hell.
Let me tell you some of the things we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to get Donnie Stonebreaker on the phone because lately I have noticed a lot of major fatalities on I-79 and Route 50. What's happening? I mean, and these are horrible accidents. We're going to find out about that. And not only in the reason we're calling Donnie is he has a first-hand perspective, and he has his own things he can tell us about because he goes and basically picks the vehicles up. Just how fast people drive. Slow down. It's that time of year. Everybody's, in a New York minute trying to go shopping and everything else. Slow down.
Slow down.
Yeah.
It's not worth your life.
Yeah, I almost got hit by a truck coming this way, too.
Did you?
Yeah.
Was it like was it like one of them big old water?
No, it wasn't a water truck, but just ordinary like a Ford F-150,
yeah, just a big
F-250.
Yeah.
Just.
Was it a diet? Was it a white Dodge Ram 1500?
Nah, I couldn't really tell.
You're getting specific now.
Yeah.
Wasn't me.
Okay, just checking.
We're also going to call the mayor of Lumberport, Rick Scott. We have a couple Christmas parades coming up. We're going to give you some information about the Shinston one happening this Friday. Lumberport's is happening on the 14th this Saturday.
That's okay, babe.
You know what?
You just talk away.
You know what? That's why I have
am
filters.
only
I was
here to
just
correct
testing you.
you.
Make sure everybody was listening because in the old days when it was hot in here, everybody wouldn't listen to everything. So then, I could say something and nobody would listen. See, I'm glad you picked that up. That's why you're sitting at
That's my
Chad's.
job.
We gave Chad the weekend off. I mean, he was actually, to be quite honest with you, the reason Chad's not here, Chad actually is here. Michelle's not. Look at we went ahead and collected our money with our GoFundMe page, and bang. Chad's got a sex change.
Total transformation.
It was,
and they did it in 2 days.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can buy out of a catalog now. And Cuddles is here in the studios with us. He's the one that actually performed the surgery. He's got a very steady hand. I'm telling you.
He got out his cuticle scissors, and that was all she wrote.
It was kind of bizarre though to see, because everything is sterile in an operating room, to see that hairnet around his beard. It was kind of bizarre to see that. It was nuts.
Quick update.
Yeah.
Steelers go all the way down to the 2.
Yeah.
Through an interception.
Man.
Ben Worthlessberger did it again.
Worthlessberger.
They're not having a good day in the red zone.
Erica Puccio said, "Hey, hey,
Hey.
Everybody is so rough and stuff. Here, I'm going to give you a lesson. We've been doing this for about 4 years now. Here, I want to give you a lesson. When you want to move something, want to move something, you hold this thing right here. It's called a stem on your microphone. It's a boom, actually. You hold this, and then you hold this, and you just slowly move it down. That way, you don't hear anything. Or you do this very slow. You just don't have.
You didn't never heard a thing, bro."
We didn't hear it when it broke.
Okay, misophonia freak, man. Jimmy comes in here. Before we, and another big news, since WVU lost to Oklahoma, and what a game that was.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of football,
yes.
who happened to stay up to watch the LSU?
Texas Tech.
Texas
I
Tech.
did, dude. I love freaking
Listen, I
hockey.
couldn't turn it off.
I love
hockey.
Yeah,
Did you guys stay up till like it was like
football.
12:30 when it went
I
on?
watched the end of it.
And I was hoping, we watched it, I was like,
Amazing.
they've only won NCAA stuff. The longest it's ever won a game has ever been is through 7 overtimes. So this was 7th overtime, and they had to go for 2. They were going for 2. Because after the 3rd overtime, you have to go for 2.
Right.
So I'm thinking, please miss this so we can go to 8.
Yeah.
Just because I want to see it. I want to be part of history. Of course, they win the game. I was like, you sons of guns.
That's hard to do.
Good
I mean,
game.
Sons of
But
guns.
the way they were firing
Was
back
that-
at each other was nuts.
Was that the highest scoring game?
I don't know about
not
much.
Yes.
No, they actually did.
74-72.
They actually did because they got it was the I think the previous record was 142 or something, and they beat it on that last on that.
Yeah,
oh,
it wasn't
they
the
said that
highest
they said
scoring
they
game.
did they
So
did
they
say
did
that.
beat a record.
Yeah, but I mean, how hard is that? I mean, every basket's like 4 points. So how hard can it be to get to,
All
70?
right,
So
John,
how would you like to be the team that scores 72 points and still loses?
Well, I don't know.
How would you like to be the defensive coordinator that has a team
Yeah.
that scores 74 points on you?
That's when you just quit.
It's just like
yeah, you guys
Go
just
home.
figure it out.
it's nuts.
Go home. George Reinhardt jumped on here. Hey, George.
Hello, George. Anyway, we're going to go ahead before we start talking about big news. Could be that Holgerstein is leaving.
Holgerson.
Boogerstein?
Laugh at me again about
Hawker?
something stupid, would you?
Hawkerstein?
What the listen? Owen Wilson. What's his name? Luke Owens. What's his name?
Luke Owens.
Odell Beckham.
Oh, I can't say his name. I never. What's his name?
Like Archie Bunker.
The coach of WVU.
Dana Holgerson.
Dana Holgerson.
Dana. Okay, Dana Holgerson.
Who is she?
He's a singer from the 80s. Anyway,
Oh, yeah.
there is an absolute chance now because he has been, well, I don't want to say he. There's nothing that he's talking to anybody. Louisville and Colorado has been kind of courting him a little bit. Well, now Texas Tech, they fired their coach, and maybe the head coach of WVU could possibly be, there's big money down in Texas. Maybe he's going to be shipped out, or maybe he'll leave.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
You know something. Don't talk about your past lives with everybody in the room, Chad. Just because you were on an army base down there, Chad, and you liked all the big guns down there in Fort Worth.
My name's Chad L. But thank you.
Chad L. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and call Rick Scott up. Go ahead and call Rick Scott up. We're going to find out. Okay. Jesus God, these sounds are driving me nuts for
Hey,
whatever
listen,
reason.
I haven't even started the sounds.
I know.
Is it just you or you and Michelle doing that tonight?
We should play a little bit of what you were playing before.
Yeah.
Jimmy started the whole thing because one thing I hate. Go ahead and give me what you were doing.
What was I doing?
You were doing with the rappers. I cannot stand rappers.
Oh, no,
like
I was
shit.
chewing. I was chewing.
Oh, it just drives me up the wall. Now every sound, I'm so sensitive. My ears are so sensitive.
Oilers are
call
supposed to
Rick
be
Scott up.
sucked, not chewed.
Call Rick Scott up.
The Whalers.
Mayor of Lumberport coming up.
Oilers are supposed to be sucked, not chewed.
We're going to find out all about the Lumberport Christmas Parade on the 14th.
Oh, really?
We're going to go ahead and talk about.
I
What
like
are you?
that.
God, you're going to
like
make
that.
me say a word I don't want to say.
Don't say it because the
It's a
mayor's going to
family
answer.
show.
The mayor.
Rick!
Oh, he's here. He's here.
Yes.
What's happening, brother?
Not much. I was just thinking I'm finally famous. You guys called me.
There you go. Hey, now listen, Rick, one thing that's going to be happening down in Lumberport, and since you're the mayor of Lumberport, we thought we would get it firsthand because we've been getting some questions. December 14th is the big Christmas parade downtown. And we're going to be broadcasting live just so everybody around the country or whoever might want to watch the parade, or even if it, depending on what the weather is, if they're staying at home that night, they can actually enjoy the parade with us, which is going to be fantastic.
Yes.
Do you have
December 14th at 6 o'clock.
December 14th at 6 o'clock. Now, here's the thing. If somebody wants to get involved as far as having a float, do you have any information on who they can contact or any kind of details actually on the parade itself?
Well, last year, Councilperson Corey Hagan and myself, we lined everything up and we called a lot of people, and it was a big parade. You guys covered it also, so I want to thank you for that. But if somebody wants to enter that parade or put a float in, Lincoln's band is going to be there. We already got them lined up, and they can call the mayor's office at 304-584-4370, and just let them know we're going to put something in the parade so we'll have some idea who else coming.
Fantastic. Okay. Are you getting excited for this yet, Rick?
Yes, it should be fun. Last year was a great time, and this year we're going to serve refreshments at the fire department's activities building. It's right beside the post office on Main Street. And,
that'll be a good
everybody
time.
can come there, and we'll have some hot chocolate, coffee, and some cookies, and talk to everybody from Lumberport. So it should be a great time.
Oh, it'll be a fantastic
It was
good time.
fun last year.
Oh, we had a blast last year.
Yeah.
We had a blast last year.
Now,
And
last year was it D-Mac and Michelle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
it
guys
was
were
really
great
good.
together.
It was really
Remember
good.
we sat on the back of that truck,
Yep.
D-Mac, and we
Yep.
had that sign that said, RoganRadio Live.
Yep.
Yep.
Now, did you guys?
Out of town.
We are leaving as soon as we finish with the parade.
We're out.
We're gonna bag everything up, and the next morning we are on the road.
So you're staying for the parade. That's good stuff.
No, we're absolutely going to be here for
Yes.
sure. Yeah, we're gonna absolutely do that.
Okay, well that'll be great. Yeah, come on down.
Yeah, man. You make sure, because we're going to have our little set down there set up. Make sure you stop by so you can talk to Derek and Michelle down there. We can put your face on camera. Your brother, your twin, would love that.
Oh yeah.
Maybe he can come up for it.
Yeah, it's a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming in, but I think he's going back on the 13th or something like that.
Man, of course.
Figures.
Of course.
Maybe we could talk him into staying a few more days, and
he could host the
probably
parade.
watch it. Maybe he'll stay a few more days and go to that.
Yeah, we could talk him into that. Randy will do anything. I saw a video on him. He was down there in Florida with his neighbor kid came over or something.
Yeah.
It looks like it's 85 degrees down there, Rick. I mean, I'm like, what's going on down there?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, you know what? You should have beat his ass a lot more when you guys were younger.
It was a tough job raising him, I got to tell you.
I bet you. All right, Rick, listen, once again, Mayor's office, 304-584-4370. They'll give you all the details on that. Rick, thanks for talking with us, man.
Yeah, anybody wants to put a float in there, we had churches and a lot of companies, of course, the Lincoln Band. It should be a good time. Come on down.
It will absolutely be. Ladies and gentlemen, Rick Scott, Mayor of Lumberport, on the line with us. I always like talking to Rick.
Yeah, put your hands together for the mayor of Lumberport, West Virginia, 26386.
LaPorte.
I can tell you this. I can tell you this about the LaPorte.
I love LaPorte.
Political. I mean, politics in this town are ruthless. I mean, Rick alone spent $750 million to become mayor of Lumberport. I mean, you talk about on a national scale, $750 million of his own money to become mayor.
Right. Sure he did.
No, that's
No, that's
Rick's a
not
good guy. We have a good team down there now.
Could you wash your hands?
You still want to keep him as part of the show, Chuck?
I don't know.
Jimmy? You're fired. You're fired.
That wasn't even me.
That was me. Oh, Derek McIntyre, you're hired. Fired.
We have two soundboard operators tonight. Once again, we have, and I had Alexa hooked up, but we kind of have a little.
Oh no.
Yeah, but we had to unplug her because one thing about Alexa, if you do have an Alexa, and I hope you have one near you right now. Alexa,
What's that, Chuck? An Alexa?
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
She's gone nuts.
Well, the thing is,
I missed it.
yeah, the entire thing is that you have to plug that thing into a wall. Like now, I have it into a USB hub, but it'll give you a little bit of feedback.
Yeah,
A little static. So you have to plug that thing into a wall, and they tell you even with Fire Sticks.
I
absolutely love it.
Listen, I couldn't get. I plugged mine into the TV like you said.
Yeah.
Nope, wasn't enough storage. Wasn't enough power. I had to plug it into the wall.
Uh-oh. Anyhow, here's a couple more things we're going to talk about, and then what do you want to do now? We got the top 10 list coming up. Top 10 reasons why you should join a cult.
Yeah, this is right on topic, Chuck. Right on topic.
In celebration of Jesus' birthday coming up, we're going to talk about top 10 reasons. You want to do it now? Top 10 reasons to join a cult.
It doesn't matter, buddy. If
And
you
then
got
we'll
some kind of crazy
and
music.
then we'll call Donnie Stonebreaker, and then we'll talk about Holgerson leaving, or potentially, maybe going to Texas Tech.
Maybe.
I think he has to pay $2 million this year if he does that, and then another $1 million after the year's over with, or something.
He has to
something
pay?
like that.
Yeah, he does.
To get out of his
He's
contract?
under contract.
See, we'll get into that. I'll tell you how all that works.
Okay.
Oh, very good. All right, you want to do this now? Top 10 list. You guys ready before you bought it? What's a Steeler update?
Steeler.
I think they lost.
Steelers lost.
Oh, they lost.
Yeah, it looked like it.
That's a miracle came through.
We're just a hot mess talking over everybody tonight. It's party time.
Party time.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Party time.
these are the top 10 reasons to start a cult. At number 10, you're not getting the respect you deserve as a fry guy.
Yay. Number 9, reasons why to start a cult. You think it will look good on your resume. Quack, quack, quack.
And number 8, your current religion limits alcohol to just wine during services.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good reason to start a cult. Who's next? Number 7.
I go number 7. The SEC probably won't investigate you.
That's true.
No, they will not. Number 6.
Number 6. Everyone else is starting one.
It seems like it anymore.
That's a good reason. You can start your own
It's
cult.
always good to
dude.
follow people.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Rogan cult. Start a cult right here.
Number 5, you ready?
Do it.
Number 5.
Group health insurance.
You know what? There's nothing better than cult. Yeah, I get. We are.
CEIA.
We are a cult. Cult.
CEIA.
CEIA.
Oh my God.
CEIA, the cult.
Number 4. What is that? The top 10
Number
reasons
4,
there, Michelle.
your pet monkey suggested it in your daily pep talk.
Listen, I had a monkey one time.
Was it on your back check?
Listen, I used to have a monkey as a pet
On your
growing
back?
up. No, I used to have a monkey named Gus. Used to have a monkey and I used to have a chicken. But the reason I don't have those anymore because I'm just obviously not a
Are you
farmer
being
guy.
serious?
Absolutely.
I hate your monkey Gus.
To the point where I was a disciplinarian, so I always had to choke the chicken and spank the monkey to where I just couldn't even have them anymore. I mean, you know what? When they're bad, you have to choke that chicken
And you
because they don't know any
spank
better.
that monkey.
And you
Chuck.
just got to spank the monkey. That thing will just, it'll throw poop at you every single time.
Got me again.
Yeah. Let's see here. The third reason. The third reason why you should start a cult is group rates to amusement parks.
Yeah.
Which I don't see what, what? Amusement parks have thrill rides. What's so amusing about an amusement park? Anyone ever thought, what's so amusing? You don't go there and laugh. It's not like a comedy club.
I don't know, man. Some people like a thrill.
Yeah.
Well,
I
a
like
thrill and being amused are two different things. Being amused is being, you're laughing
Maybe
at
they have
something.
shows. A lot of them have shows.
Yeah.
Thrill is like you're scared for your life.
Dollywood is an amusement park.
Dollywood.
A lot of shows.
Yeah.
Michelle Lamb was great before she had her sex change.
Oh.
Now I'm Chad L. A whole new park, baby.
Yeah,
whole new park.
Number 2. The number 2 reason why
I wonder what the
you should
custom-
start a cult.
I wonder what the parking lot admission is on that one.
Number 2, it's more cost-effective to feed 200 than just 3 or 4.
I was reading this thing, and this has nothing to do with. It was sort of with cults. It was Jim Jones.
Yeah.
Oh,
the Kool-Aid
yeah.
Man.
Listen, if you ever got into that, I don't know if you know the story of this. If you ever just Google
If we
that,
got
and
into
really,
it, we'd be dead, right?
No, listen, and actually read into that. Listen, they would actually play with those people's minds for months. They would actually tell them that they have drank the Kool-Aid and all this stuff times before, and they all thought they were going to die. And he said, "No, we're just joking. Just do it." Just crazy things would happen.
But you know what? Fun
So that when it came time, and they drink it.
and they actually did
But
it.
you know what? Fun fact, it wasn't Kool-Aid, Chuck. It was Flavor Aid.
Oh.
Yeah, it was Flavor Aid. It wasn't Kool-Aid. Everybody says drink the Kool-Aid. You've
Yeah.
heard that expression? It was Flavor Aid. Just to clear all that
That's
out.
a little cheaper.
But it's cheap. When you're that many people drinking,
Yeah, you got to buy
you got to go to the Equate brand.
The generic.
and buy the flavor.
I thought it was one of those. What were those drinks in the barrels? Those little hugs.
Huggies.
Little hugs.
Huggies.
Yeah,
Oh,
see, I
yeah.
love those.
I love the heck out of them
You
things.
know, when we had those when we were little, we used to drink them, and then we'd put them in between your bike tire and your bike, and it would sound like a motorbike.
I just
wear the road.
I just always liked them because it reminded me of a beer keg. Just like the can, I would have a candy cigarette and
That's
one of
where it
those little
started.
hugs, and I thought I was drinking like a Mickey's and smoking
See,
a
you
cigarette.
trained yourself, and that's what happened.
It was great.
That same time you had the pet monkey?
Yeah.
That monkey was
It's
so
all
bad. Let me
coming
tell you,
back.
Gus was so
Number
bad.
one.
I had to spank that dude. I mean, I felt bad. I was going to get a shock collar for him, but instead I just got a ball gag so I wouldn't have to hear his
But
mouth.
you know what? After he choked that chicken and spanked that monkey, he'd be on the front porch and drinking
Listen,
that.
PETA came to the house. PETA came to the house one time and gave me a fine for choking that chicken and spanking that monkey so much. PETA.
PETA.
Yeah.
PETA.
The PETA. People
Colada?
over the
Pina colada?
ethical
Treatment of animals. You never heard of PETA?
Oh, yeah.
You've
PETA's
never heard of PETA?
PETA.
Healthy.
Not the bread, mind
Like
you.
a pita? Like,
Not the bread.
oh.
You ever heard of a fupa?
I have a kind of a fupa going on right now.
Fupa.
I have a
a
holiday fupa. That's one of those. That's one of those.
sounds nasty.
Yes,
You
it
know what I
does.
mean?
Fupa's one of those Italian cookies, isn't it?
Yeah.
They have those fried fupas with.
I'm not a fan of fupas.
You
I'm not following you, boys.
Okay, another word for fupa would be what is it? Butt in the front.
Yeah,
that's butt in the front.
It would be moose knuckle.
Moose.
I love moose too. Anyway, what's the number one?
Number one, Jimmy. Jimmy, give us the number one.
Number one reason to join a cult.
Number one reason to start a cult. You're not only a member, you're also a supreme being.
Yeah.
Jim Jones
Start a
was
cult.
a supreme. Yeah,
Start a cult.
we could, Jack, under your umbrella.
Well, listen. Instead of doing the Nikes, remember the year it was the Moon people or something like that. They wore Nikes.
Yeah, what the heck were they called?
And the asteroid came by Earth.
Heaven's
and
Gate. Heaven's Gate.
Out in California,
Yeah,
something
Heaven's
like that. Yeah, and they ended up waxing themselves.
Yep.
But they all went peacefully.
That was in Heaven's Gate. Was that in Waco?
No, that was in California.
That was in California.
Yeah,
somewhere.
California. Heaven's
Waco
Gate.
was Branch Davidians.
Yeah, Branch Davidians.
Yeah.
I think that website's still up for Heaven's Gate.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Probably still active members, right?
Nobody's there to take it
No
down.
one has the password.
No one's got the password.
No one's there to take it down. Good observation, Darren. Except that one guy that was wearing
one
Adidas
guy.
and not Nike. They're like, you get the hell out of here. You're not drinking. You're not drinking the Flavor Aid. Where's your Nikes? It's Nike night, man. It's not Adidas night. It's like, I'll go home then.
There'll be another comment. Don't worry about it.
That's
Don't
funny.
worry about it. Another comment coming. I'll be all right.
Oh my gosh.
We come off such a great time with the turkey trot, then when we put on a production like this shit show.
Yeah, top 10 Colts.
Go ahead and call Donnie up, Jimbo. He's going to be on Messenger.
We're a diverse cult.
Well, right now it seems like I-79 is obviously the interstate that rolls through the area, north to south, south to north, and then we have Route 50 was basically the cross section of that goes east to west, west to east. And lately, it just seems like, especially on 50, the thing that I never understood about Route 50 is that you have interstate speeds.
Yeah.
You have interstate speeds at the same time where you can cross traffic. It'd be like on I-79, which is your local interstate, and there's no stoplights. Right. You can just like pull out in front of people to go left or go right, and it's crazy.
Yep.
And it's so curvy because we are living in the state of hills in
Amen.
West Virginia.
Amen.
That a lot of times those cars will come whipping by there at 70 miles an hour right around a turn, and you're trying to pull. And listen, and lately it's just been horrible.
You know, here's another little fun fact for you, Chuck. North and south are usually odd, and east and west are always even.
That's correct.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, like
Funny how that
70
works.
west, 50 west, 79.
How many years did it take
77?
you to figure that out?
1.
Yeah, they teach it to you.
Solid, though. It was a solid year.
Donnie Stonebreaker, what's happening, brother?
How are you, brother?
Hey.
Hi, Donnie.
Hey.
I can hear.
Donnie, have you listen? We're having a conversation. We're going to talk about this on two different scales per se. One is that you are like one of the responders that goes out and what's the actual word when you have to go pick a vehicle up? What is the crew? I don't know the exact terminology there. Recovery.
I don't know what that would be. Donnie?
Call the wreckers.
We got you, Donnie.
Crickets. Don't you have a sound effect for crickets?
I do.
Okay, let's hear it.
Hey, Donnie.
Uh-oh, I heard it.
We'll call Donnie back.
I'd still like to hear the crickets, though. The crickets
Okay,
are
hold
great.
on.
Okay, let's go ahead and call Donnie back and see what's going on and quit making so much effing noise.
Julie
'cause it's
Chips
driving me
Ramsey.
effing crazy.
Yeah, there's the crickets. Julie Chips Ramsey jumped on here, by the way, since we're waiting on Donnie. And say, hey, Julie. Say, hey, Julie.
Hello, Julie.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
All right, we're calling Donnie
Terry
back.
Hinkle. What's up, Kevin Wiles?
We lost him.
Finley. Pat loves you, Finley.
You guys gotta leave tonight.
What's
I'm
up, Dave?
stuck here, man.
For the rest of your
Come
life.
on, help me.
Hey, Donnie. Hey, Donnie.
Hello.
There you are.
Oh.
All right, listen, we're going to make it real quick. The first one is when you go and pick up a car on an accident. We're having this discussion about the speeds on I-79 and Route 50 right now. What is
a lot of time.
You don't have a lot of time? You do it all the time.
Yeah, we're constantly going out here for a lot of people, are distracted now. We've got a lot more cell phones. We got a lot more people out here with the wealth tenders and stuff with these amber lights. Yeah. So it's really, really hard to, get when we turn our amber lights on, nobody's paying attention to us anymore.
Well, when you go out there and there's an accident, explain a little bit because I don't think people appreciate how fast 60 to 80 miles an hour actually is when you're on the side of the road stopped and you're trying to pick this vehicle up.
Yeah, well, I've recently here, just about 2 weeks ago, I had my vest ripped off. Just where a rear view mirror of a car snagged it when I was getting out of my truck.
See, that's scary.
So, people are not even attempting to slow down nowadays.
And you know what? Out of respect, shouldn't they? And I always do this, and I hope you guys do too. If I see someone pulled over on the side of the road, either a cop or something, I'll take that lane, that left lane, if you can, if you have the opportunity. Yeah,
move over.
Just to move over.
Yeah,
a little
when
bit.
I kind of move over, I usually try to slow
Yeah,
down.
right.
Donnie, did they ever make that a law that you have to pull over on the?
It is a law now, but it's not really being enforced. Here lately, I've been working with Sheriff Matheny, and we're going to run a couple mocks. That's where I'll be positioned with a disabled car behind me, and then he'll have his deputies in front, and they will be pulling people over and giving citations.
Good.
Yeah. Well, that could save a life. You know, that really
Well,
could.
that's what happened not too long ago up at Cheat Lake. I saw where there was an accident on the side of the road, and actually a fire truck was blasted.
Yeah.
Somebody came by and hit the truck. You know, and you talk about, I mean, you know, you're driving 70 miles an hour and you cream into something, man, you're going to hurt something.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people killed like that.
And actually a week before that, an Irwin's tow truck was hit on 79.
Donnie, do you have being out there and being on the road like this and seeing this, because you know you're not what's the word I'm looking? I'm not going to put the pressure of saying you're a professional recreator of a scene, but I will say you have common sense and you talk to people. What is happening right now on 50 and 79 where either they're driving too fast or what's happening to where they're having, we used to never see these horrific accidents. Now, I mean, there was like 3 or 4 of them in this past week where they're just, I mean, there's some major fatalities happen here, and it's been going on for a while. Is there any rhyme to the reason, per se, that you have an opinion on anyway?
The investigators, one of my friends, we've been trying to work this out. I mean, we have more traffic due to all these oil wells and stuff, and people out of state, so you have a higher volume of traffic, a lot more cell phones. These intersections, they say the lights are changing too fast, but I mean, these people are they're not paying attention to what's more or less is happening.
Right. Well, see, that's the thing we were just talking about before we got you on the phone, is Route 50 to me is scary, and it's scary for this reason. It almost seems as fast as I-79, except you have intersections on it, which I never, because there's intersection on there, I never understood why they actually raised the speed limit on that thing.
Right, and you have people trying to race through the lights through these intersections.
Right.
And the lights are just changing a lot faster now.
Well, and then even some of them down there near Salem, or say Dog Run's always been the one that scared me to death. Yeah. There is no light, and you're trying to say, if you're trying to pull out and make a left to go back towards Clarksburg, to say go west, there's a turn. It's almost right into a turn. Somebody 70 miles an hour comes around that turn, and it's like you can't react fast enough.
Right. The one that gets me is the 50 and 98 split. We buried one of my friends and his daughters about a month ago there.
Yeah, I saw that. That's horrible.
That's just because people are trying to run this light.
Yep. That one going down the hill, I never have understood that. I've never. There almost needs to be a light at the top of the hill, sort of like what they did at with the truck stop there coming back on. Well, coming back there from on 68 at the very top of the hill, doing that. Because they had all kinds at the bottom of the hill right before you get into Cheat Lake, because it's a hell of a grade going down, and they were just going too fast. And so now it's a mandatory stop to make you stop. Yeah. It almost seems like now just for the sake of safety, because Davis and the runaround, I mean, it's just horrible right there.
Yeah. You know, those trucks come down that hill, even if they were to apply the brakes when they see the light changes so quick that a lot of times they're still not going to make it 100%.
Well, the most of the time in the Route 50 area, Route 50, and the water truck comes in the highway, try to cross, 2 lanes to go in the opposite lane.
Yeah.
Then from a dead stop, they pretty much driving like a 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, because
then somebody's coming, 65 to 70, 75 miles an hour. By the time they see that truck is trying to cross the road, it's pretty much.
Well, I saw a post on the Harrison County Rent Room where the lady was in her car. Have you seen this one? She was video with her car. It was a video on her speedometer on her car. It was 4950 miles, because it's 50 miles an hour right there. And these big coal trucks, were just buzzing right past, going right through downtown, right by 2nd Street, 3rd Street, right there.
That's crazy.
Flying past.
Donnie, what kind of advice? I mean, you're out there every day driving, and first of all, what do you want people to know, especially this time of year with slick roads and everything? I mean, first of all, slow down and get over, I'm sure, when you're on the side of the road.
Right, and a lot of problems we've had, just little minor wrecks. It's because people don't have tires on their cars; they're bald, and you're losing traction as soon as it gets wet. So I mean, that can a lot of fatalities too. Derek will tell you that bald tires on the cars.
Oh yeah.
That'll definitely do it. And then
Not paying attention.
and know the tires that you do have on your car, because some tires
Correct.
have the properties of a black patent shoe when it's cold outside, and some of them are like the feet of chameleons, where it will just grip like a good winter tire. That'll just kind of they'll almost melt so fast it kind of grips. So just know what kind of tires you do have on your car too.
Yeah, and if anybody has any idea, if they or have any questions about their tires, stop over at Waltz and see Donnie. Donnie help them right out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Donnie's excellent at doing that.
Donnie, what is the number over at Waltz if you need tires or anything like that?
304-592-5100.
I don't even know why I asked that, because I'm holding a Waltz pen right now.
It's right here.
This message being brought to you by Waltz. Hey, when was it Waltz Amico? That's been a long time ago, hasn't it?
Long time.
Were you down there then, Donnie?
No, my dad actually worked there then. That was about 42 years ago.
Oh, my. That's showing my age a little bit.
Still go to Waltz for myself.
Yeah, that's what. Okay.
I went to Waltz not too long ago. Got to talk to Donnie. I got my inspection sticker.
He put tires on my boat trailer.
All right.
Yeah.
I always go to Donnie for a second opinion, because Chuck tells me, that trailer really needs tires. I'm like, okay, well, let's go see
Let
Donnie.
me go ask a real guy.
So we pulled up. We pull up, and Donnie's like, that trailer really needs tires.
Well, listen, Donnie, this is what I told her last time, and this is what you're talking about with tires, right? We're getting ready to haul this boat, or it was the boat. Haul this thing to Morgantown, and one of them was bald, and the other one was just
I didn't even look at
dry
it.
rotted.
I only use it twice.
So I was like,
year.
Michelle, what happens if you're going down I-79 hauling this pontoon boat and you blow, because it's a single axle, and you blow a tire out? What happens? I said, I'll tell you what happens. Everybody dies. Everybody dies, and somebody gets a free boat out of the deal. So then we go, she goes, well, no, she gets her fine. I was like, okay, we'll take it to Donnie. We'll see what Donnie says. So we take it down there, and Donnie, they were pretty bad shape.
All right.
Hey, Donnie, once again, thanks for talking with us, brother, and stay safe out there. Get over if you see people on the side of the road like Donnie helping. If anytime you see lights, get on the opposite side and slow the hell down. Donnie, once
Show a
again,
little respect.
hey, brother, stay safe, and thanks for talking with us.
Thank you, guys. You have a good night.
See you, Donnie.
All right,
Donnie.
Woo, Donnie.
That was Donnie Stonebreaker over from
Emily
Shipton.
Beckjoin. That's my daughter, by the way.
Hi, Emily.
Yeah. If you need your blood drawn or a catheter stuck in there, or
She can
something,
do it.
she'll take care of
What's
you.
she doing on the side or something?
She
What's
just wants to know if you can get her Subway.
Did she have any Black Friday specials?
You got to be
Oh,
kidding.
look at that. Hey,
Can you get me
Dad, can
Subway?
you get me Subway? Watch.
That's what she
Oh,
I'm going to put an emoji on there, but it's going to be an angry face.
I'm not listening because I want to. I'm listening because I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Hey, just put on here what you want, Emily, and I'll run down and get it for you. See if your mom wants something too.
But anyway, that's one thing that you have
I
to.
want some too.
Back off, Bruce.
You have to remember.
Can you bring it back here?
Whoa. Everybody, no one cares about you, Chuck.
I do. Go
Okay,
ahead.
knock yourselves out.
Have at it.
Don't do it.
Hey, listen, you can see it. Okay.
See, I can't see it out of my peripheral.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move it on. Let's see. What do you want to talk
Well, I
about?
don't know. You're crossing a lot of things off over in your little cheat sheet
Yeah,
right there.
it's going
What else
pretty
you got
quick,
on
too.
there? What
It's
is that?
going
What,
pretty
you
fast.
what else
fake
does it
news.
say on there?
One thing that I do want to talk about real quick.
You are
is-
fake news.
One thing, exactly. One thing that I do want to talk about real quick is that Russia is about ready to launch a moon mission.
Okay.
With the sole purpose of verifying that the United States was actually on the moon. Now, this could turn out to be interesting.
I like
Hey, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. This is I
It's
dig this
spending-
because listen, there's evidence. It's not going anywhere.
Well, let me
No doubt.
Yeah, if it's up there, it's still up there.
I can tell you this, is that the Russians, up until the moon landings, Russia itself had better technology and were way far advanced, more advanced than the United States ever thought about being when it came to space.
And we've talked about this conspiracy before.
Between Sputnik and they were the first ones in space. They were actually the first ones to land something on the moon. It wasn't a person, but they were the first ones to have something in orbit. They did all of these things, and somehow the United States came back and said, okay, we're going to land somebody on the moon. Never doing it before. Bang. Look at it. We won. Boom.
Yay,
So the Russians just basically gave up on their space program or any hopes of actually reaching the moon. Well, now they're going to.
When is
Now
this
here's
gonna happen?
well, I don't know. They did the story I read it this morning. I think it might have been yesterday. They actually came out and said they're going to do it.
Why? You know, if we've sent these
Because
rovers
they-
and stuff
you
to
know what?
Mars, why wouldn't the U.S. just go ahead and, over the last 10, 15, 20 years, just send a freaking mission to the moon. You know, we can reach the moon now, of course.
Well, I think we need to go back? Yeah.
You mean like maybe 25 years later, just go stick a flag on there?
Yeah, exactly. Why didn't they do that?
You're required second time.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean.
Are they gonna like take a?
Are we really here?
Yeah. Are they gonna take like a Russian flag and like stick it right next to the American flag?
Listen,
big sickle.
what's saying those
No,
guys?
they'll probably swap them.
Here's what I'm gonna,
swap them out.
No, here's what I'm going to say. If they do go up there and say the United States was never there, I'll say prove that they were never there. Because
Well,
what you did is
could
just
that flag-
folded up the flag and stuck it. You know, you're.
But could that
you know how
flag
it-
survive for that many
There's
years?
it's no oxygen.
There's no oxygen.
So there's not going to be any
So what?
decay.
I mean, something could have happened to it.
Aliens could have taken it.
Yeah. Asteroid could have
Meteor
hit.
hit it.
Or the
Yes.
set that they
So-
used out in Las Vegas to film it all in the first place is probably not there anymore.
That's
that
probably
could be it too.
That's probably it. Yeah.
Seriously, if you think about putting a
Capricorn
flag on the moon and go all these years, all the stuff that could happen to that flag.
Squirrels.
Think about it.
Well, they left all the rovers and all that other stuff up there.
Yeah, they
Right?
didn't
All
bring
that
any of that
stuff.
stuff
A
down.
couple things I want you to think about. Listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist,
Yes, you are.
but I do have a couple questions when it
Capricorn
comes
one.
in regard to the lunar landings. And I'm not saying we weren't there.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
not saying that. I'm just saying there's things that I don't understand because I am not a NASA engineer.
No,
I'm
you're
just
not.
some dipshit in Lumberport that was able to put this podcast stuff together that
Yes,
I
you
bought
are.
from Amazon.
Yes, you
somehow
did.
and somehow managed to go around the world.
Yes, you have.
But anyway, we're talking, say, in the 60s, mid-60s, when everything was about as powerful as a solar calculator that you had on your wrist.
That was big time, buddy.
So here's the thing I want to know. When they launched to the moon, first time they ever did that as far as landing, I mean, that's pretty impressive that they didn't mess that up because I've seen plenty of people on Earth trying to fly airplanes for the first time, like the Wrights and everything, and they just put them things because they didn't understand the physics, and they put them things right into the ground.
They said less than half of the missions to Mars have failed already.
Right.
There are more than half of them have failed.
Because they didn't understand the atmosphere and the physics.
Yeah.
Somehow, though, we were lucky enough to understand that when it came to the moon.
Yeah.
We were just on top of our game at that time.
I guess we were.
The second all is that you see this moon buggy, which I love. The moon buggy, the lunar lander moon buggy thing, and you see the astronaut, they have that fake dish that's like bouncing around. I can't get it. When I had Dish TV out here or Direct TV, the rainstorm comes by, and if it's perfectly lined up, I don't even have signal to get the cable, and that satellite's only 12 miles up at best. These guys are out there running on this little lunar module. You can watch it, and this little thing's bouncing around for whatever reason, probably turning like this. Never really understood that. Never really understood where they even packed it in the first place. Because when that thing launches out of that, I didn't see this this buggy, kind of stacked on top.
Think about it. Even in the 70s and 80s, how big were dishes back then? You
You see them in people's yards still. Oh, yeah.
And they're like,
You
my
could put
father
10
was
kids in
flying.
those
Yes,
things and
you
sleigh
could.
ride
Now,
them.
listen,
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
really-
a conspiracy theorist, just a couple
Yes,
of
you
questions.
are.
Now, and this is the one that baffles my mind the most. Say that you had the lunar module out there and it was all in pieces, not the lunar module, but the buggy.
Buggy rover.
It was,
little-
and they had to put it together. I'll give you that. Okay. Well, then they had their space uniform thing, and they had these gloves. Have you ever put mittens on your hand during the winter? You have, of course. Have you ever tried to tie your shoes with mittens on? It's impossible.
Almost impossible.
So how are you going to get screwdrivers and wrenches and everything else to put this moon buggy together? No wonder that dish was bouncing around all over the place because they had these gloves with fingers about that big on them.
They're called pet boys.
Probably had those storage connections were just
Prob-
like your connect sec
Back in the 60s, yeah.
Oh wow.
I mean, I believe that today.
Yeah.
But
There's a
listen,
lot of
we
stuff.
were at the moon 100% guaranteed.
No,
Nothing's ever
maybe sort of.
And the only thing that I really don't understand, there's a couple things. This will be the last
The
one.
difference
And
between
I'm going to let it go.
men and women.
Why is it that all the video that they've had, now this is the truth, you can Google it, don't take my word for it. They have all this video. The most important thing ever happened to mankind is land on another terrestrial body or extraterrestrial body, being the moon. This is like Copernicus or like somebody else flying, when the world was flat and what's his name, Christopher Columbus sailed across and found out the world wasn't flat.
The ocean blue.
So how in the world
1492?
did they lose every single video piece of tape that they had when it came to that? How did they lose? They don't have it. NASA will go and they actually say, don't know where it is.
And they didn't have a very good secretary.
You know, I guess. And why?
Convenience.
The only videotape that they have is the transmission. That's why they say it looks so grainy. They don't have any high definition video because the only video that they do have is like from Walter Cronkite over TV broadcast. That's the only video that you will ever see. You don't see any NASA stuff. NASA, they have the photographs and it's high definition as all get out. You look at the video though, and you're like, there is no video. It's like grainy, and you know, it's that was basically over the air stuff because they lost it all.
Amazing.
I think they should make a priority and go back. I've said that for years, just because I think it would be awesome.
Yeah. It would be awesome
with the technology and how it's advanced from today.
Oh,
Even
sure.
if they just took like the Mars rover and stuff.
There's as much technology in this cell phone that there was probably in the whole, lunar lander that landed.
They
landed on the moon.
Back it was almost 20 years ago when PlayStation 2 came out.
Yeah,
that was their big thing, saying there was more technology in that than there was.
Even in the space shuttle, for that fact.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? In the same vein, Kevin Wild said that some people still believe the Earth is flat. And you know what? I called my brother the other day, and I was talking to him.
That's one of the cults we were talking about.
Yeah, and he works with a guy. He's on this job with this guy right now, and he's one of these flat Earth people.
Flat earthers. Yeah.
Flat earthers. And my brother says, and he is 100% sure.
How in the world?
100% sure that the Earth is flat. No doubt about it in his mind. He is convinced 100%.
Why is it? Let me ask you, just when you want to talk about certain things, for the longest time, and I know a lot of these things have been through observation, sailing back before you had GPS and everything else. It was through observation of stars and everything. But there was a time to where the world was flat, and there was a time to where there was a time to where the Earth was the center of the solar system, and everything revolved around the Earth. Now, some point, what's his name? Galileo. He never been to space. Never been to space. Never been out of Italy. Never wherever he was from. Never had done. He probably never even had a pizza like a Domenico pizza. Or DiGiorno, I meant.
Yeah,
he probably never even had a DiGiorno Domenico steak.
Augustine.
He's probably never even had a frozen pizza in his life. But somehow he figured out this new way that everything revolves around the sun, that nobody before him for thousands of years, the Egyptians or whoever that guided themselves with stars, the Vikings up there, whoever, no one ever thought of that before. But this guy comes out and says, you know what, by the way, you're all wrong. We're going around the sun. Now, how in the hell did he know that?
I don't know, Chuck.
And how watching the sun and the other planets.
And to be quite
quite
technical about it, how does anybody else know that? Because nobody's been far enough out to look to see the massive scale of things. You go through observation, of course. You go through observation. It's just an assumption of what you know as science.
It's had to do with the horizon, right? I'm pretty sure that's how he figured it all out, was watching the horizon and watch how your sun would rise and set. I think it's how he based everything.
It's always a part where you guys lose me. I just sat here.
We lost everybody, actually.
I think. I'm not 100%.
I think
I'm on research tonight.
He built the hypothesis himself just to have a question, and write it down, his own questions, just to attempt to make sure, it's like an elimination method.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the entire thing. And the entire point of it was, who knows what's real and who's not real, is that you have to ask questions. You just don't blindly listen to what somebody else tells you, because a lot of times you don't know if somebody's going to tell you. If it comes to religion, comes to science, comes to politics, it don't matter what it is. You have to do rumors.
Well, I do that all the time at work. And I say, one day I'm a Korean, and the next day I'm a Mexican.
Yeah. Right, yeah. You know what? You get one guy like it. You get one guy in front of enough people who's got that gift for... that you can make a lot of people convinced, and that you can make them believe what you want.
Well, sure.
Have you ever watched those conspiracy theory videos?
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, just on that moon.
Well, you look at
the
top 10 list tonight was about the cults. I mean, it's not like this is the first. It's not like cults have been around for a long, long time.
Well, and that's a good example right there. On talking.
Yeah, that's why we did it for. It's funny.
We have the RoganRadio cult here.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
We got to get the show. We got to go burn babies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No.
You better have your Nikes on.
Tonight is not burn baby or Nikes night. Tonight's when we all get into the tub back in the back end, grape juice, and give each other butt massages. Do we? Who wrote the calendar? What's
the date again?
I know.
You did. You're our supreme leader.
Yeah.
Come on, Chad. Come on, Chad. You've always been the event coordinator.
I hope you paid the health insurance this month, Todd.
Yeah. I did.
Things didn't get crazy around here until you showed up.
That's true.
Yeah.
Who?
You, Chad.
Me?
You, Chad.
Todd.
Chad.
Chad L?
Chad L.
All right, let's talk about this, and we're going to shut this show down. What the big rumor is now? What do you have to say?
Well, I'm just going to say, can we do something on like the moon lane or something?
Yeah,
like
we need
a
to do
more
something
in-depth
like-
one. Be
Yeah,
kind
I
of
think
fun,
so.
wouldn't it?
I think
like
we
an
should do
extra
that.
special, like a Patreon episode.
Special
If you want to
presentation.
contribute to our Patreon, all you have to do is send us $10 a month to P.O. Box 444,
Help us help Rogan Radio get to the
care
moon.
of Chuck Todd, Derek, Jim, Bruce, Mike, Mark, not you, not
So,
Mike,
the-
and Michelle, not your brother. I did it.
The big news is
Ed Todd.
this time of year is about college football,
Yeah.
and WVU is basically out of the picture. And they were in the picture once, and they got sort of back in the picture, and then it was basically finalized. And a lot of people from around this particular area do not like. They always like to blame referees for any time there's a loss. It's always about the refs, or it's about the coaching, or it's about the players, or it's never really necessarily about. No, you do see this. It's never necessarily about how good the other team was.
Right.
Somebody's got to lose. You know what I mean? Somebody has to.
Right.
So you'll hear a lot of stuff about Holgerson. They want Holgerson to split. And, well, maybe he's some of his supporting cast, perhaps.
Right.
Now, listen. Here's my thing. If he goes, as we're talking college football now, but it seems like for the last couple of years, they've actually been in the top 15 a lot.
Sure.
Even though he doesn't have necessarily a great record. I mean, he's like 80 and 60, or I mean, it's not that high, but it's something like
The
that.
second highest winning coach at WVU.
Oh, well, there you
that's
go.
WVU.
Yeah. at
But
WVU.
but anyway, so now all these different teams are courting him. The big one being right now Texas Tech.
Right.
So he could go down to Texas. Texas Tech's a big school.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of wondering, Rich Rod left. Does
Well-
Holgerson split because does he listen to a lot of the stuff around here, or does he like Morgantown? No, he's not really saying. It's all kind of new. All
Here's what I
conjecture.
think. I don't think he'll go anywhere. I don't think Texas Tech, even and the buyout's part of it. Now, if he won't have to pay, because if Texas Tech were going to hire him, they would negotiate that with WVU, or they would just pay it.
Mm-hmm.
As
How many
part
more?
of the
How,
cost.
how many more years he have left on?
I think
his
it's 2.
2 years left. I wonder
think.
what if he could get a long-term deal. For money. Now we're talking money,
Right.
If he could talk to Texas Tech and saying, "Listen, you give me a 7-year deal worth $30 million,"
That'd be $5 million a year. So, and that's plausible. I mean,
and then he's going to say, "You know what? I've got 2 years left. There's nothing saying that you're ever going to bring me back."
Right.
He could go back to WVU now and say, "Listen, extension or I'm out. You can have your $2 million."
But I don't think he will. There's a lot that goes into it, but you got to remember this too. Not only do you have the money issue, but it's a lateral move from WVU to Texas Tech. It's a lateral move. It's not. He's not better than himself.
Right. It's same conference.
Same conference, same pressure. It's a very similar program.
But he's always been a Big 12 guy,
right?
So is Texas Tech in his mind maybe more Big 12 than WVU will ever be?
I guess that's possible, but I don't. I think it's a mistake. If he would do it, I think it's a mistake.
Because you could make or break yourself. I mean, Morgantown would be a good place to be.
Oh yeah, I mean, and the thing is, I think he likes it here. Just by the way he talks,
It's fun.
And the stuff you see, and I mean, he's got his home up there. I don't know. I don't think he's going anywhere. I really don't. And now, if let's say Ohio State comes calling, or somebody like that, or Notre Dame, or it's somebody who's got a little bit more clout, which helps in recruiting. But I don't know. I think he's got. Personally, I think he has WVU in a pretty good place.
Yes.
He's going to have to get his crap together in the next couple of years and
I
do
agree.
something a little bit better. But he needs to. I mean, he's the CEO of the team, and that's how he needs to act. Now, Texas Tech's coach Cliff Kingsbury that they fired, I really like that guy.
Why did they fire him, by the way?
Well, same reason, just win losses. I think what will end up happening is WVU gives Holgerson, especially if they get a good bowl game and they win. I think he gets a couple-year extension. I think that Jake Spavital, who is our offensive coordinator, leaves strictly because he's going to get a head coaching job.
And then the only reason he came to West Virginia in the first place was because Greer came too. I mean, weren't they kind of
Yeah, kind of. But he also had a really good. He also has a really good relationship with Holgerson.
Right.
Buddy. And Spavital was here before, so he comes back because he didn't make it on his own there. So anyway, Spavital comes back. Goes to a different team, and then they hire Cliff Kingsbury, and he joins WVU staff. And I think we make a couple changes defensively. It may not be getting rid of Tony Gibson, make a different change on the scheme or whatever. Boom, next thing you know, a couple years, WVU's right in the thick of it again. That's my opinion. I don't know.
Well, I mean, because
as long as Rich Rod doesn't come back, I don't care.
I agree.
Well, you know what? That's one thing. You know,
don't want him
I
here.
do not blame Rich Rod for going to Michigan. I blame him for
him
how
the
he
way
went to Michigan.
he did it.
That's
Absolutely.
Because Michigan is a much. I mean, we're talking Michigan, and just like you said earlier, it's Michigan, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and whatever happened to Nebraska. One of them.
Maybe Pitt was just better that game, like you said.
Maybe
Pitt. When you're talking about going back to that game,
I mean, that's the whole.
Well,
Rich
obviously
Rod thing,
they
right?
were. Obviously,
the
they
whole Rich Rod
Pat
thing
Mac-
had to come down to that one game. They had to
It
beat
had
Pitt,
nothing to do with the game. It was
and
the way
they
he
lost.
left.
And you, like you just said, no
the
one
way
ever
he
gives
left.
credit to the other team.
Oh,
even say
I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, in
Don't even
all
get me
honesty, you're right.
started.
They were better in that game.
is Jeff Fisher even coaching up there anymore?
Hey, don't talk about Jeff Fisher.
Jeff Fisher went from the NFL to Pittsburgh Panthers.
And talking
I
about
love my
Nebraska,
Jeff
Nebraska
Fisher.
got cocky and fired their coach, kind of like Texas Tech
Boy,
did,
I'll
because
tell you
they
what-
don't like 7-8 wins a year. They fire their coach, and then because when you do that, you're starting all over.
Right.
Yep.
But at one time Nebraska was one of those teams, sort of like what happened to Alabama. Alabama was big, and then they kind of dropped off the face of the earth there for many years, and then now they're back again with Saban.
Unbelievable.
But you know what? If Nebraska, they used to be there every year.
Yeah, Nebraska.
And then they're almost like watching some no chump team now.
Which is so weird. Like I've always sat there and thought, like, how does a team like Nebraska? How are they good at? Like, what does that school do? Like, okay, say you, Chuck. Say
They're out
you're
there
really
working
good.
in the cornfields.
Yeah,
They
but
get all
say
them
you're a
muscles.
really good football player, and say Nebraska comes to talk to you, and some like Hawaii comes to talk to you, and go, and they. Why wouldn't you not want to go to someplace like Hawaii to play football or someplace nice? Why would you go to some,
Right.
out in the middle of nowhere?
Well, I could see. I mean, at that time, if you're talking about going to the NFL, you'd go to Nebraska. Just like
Right.
now, if you want to play in the NFL with hopes and dreams,
well,
you go
that's
to
because
Alabama.
they're good now, and Alabama's
Yeah.
good now.
But why would you go there and play now?
Why?
Right.
What happened to start to get them to be good? Well, why
Well,
weren't all these players
well,
going
yeah.
to better?
Well, you
like
got-
Florida. I can
great
understand
point.
why Florida's was a good team.
Say
the
Ohio
Hurricanes.
State, Michigan, and we'll say Notre Dame. We'll throw them in there. Worst climate in the planet in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So, you would think all your schools would be like your Miamis, your Alabamas, anything Texas, Georgia, all your
USC.
southern schools, USC, especially USC. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just be perfect
yeah.
there all year round. Why would you, if you were a 5-star recruit, and like when you start getting them, how could you ever lose that? You're just like, listen, man, you're coming to L.A., boy.
Yeah.
Well,
Walk of stars.
Well, and a lot of that plays into it. I mean, that's the part of the reason why they are so good.
All
I
right.
mean, because they have that lore. I mean, who wants to come to Morgantown, West Virginia? You got to either really like the coach, really like the scheme, buy into what they're working, what they're telling you, and you got to just trust them and go with your heart. I mean, that's the only reason why
Yeah.
you come here.
And that's my point. Like, how did a team like Nebraska or one of them ever get started
To the
to
point where
start
they get-
recruiting those people?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
crazy.
and if you think about this, how bizarre this is, the Northeast has the biggest concentration of people, between Boston and New York and Philadelphia. I mean, anywhere from Pennsylvania up to Maine. I mean, there's a crap load of people there. Football is irrelevant. Boston College, maybe.
Right.
But other than that, college football, they don't care.
Syracuse.
They could care less. They could care basketball and baseball.
Right.
Football's just not one of their things.
Nope.
And you have all those people there, but you really never hear, you'll hear a lot of people from New Jersey coming down this area and stuff like that. But after high school, it kind of drops off. You'd think there would be a lot of good colleges up there that would be your powerhouse.
Well, I mean, you got Penn State. Well, yeah, you don't have very many. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
State
the
College.
population, anyway.
Yeah, for the population.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very interesting. I think the whole landscape of college football in the next couple of years changes dramatically. I think they'll expand the playoff system. I think the conference realignment isn't over. I think in the next 2 years it's going to get crazy. And I think the Big 12 survives in that. If it doesn't, WVU will end up probably back here and maybe in the
I
ACC.
miss the Big East.
I do and I don't.
Big East was weak. It was
Yeah.
weak.
But
It was
still.
weak, dude.
Well,
the whole
not
thing.
at the beginning.
It was like, really, if you
I don't
look
like change.
But
Change
looking back
sucks.
on history, the Big East is a lot about the Atlantic. It's like the Atlantic 10.
Yeah, that's right.
At the time, the Atlantic 10 was really, what we thought was great.
Right.
Then looking back on it, I was like, it was nothing.
Well, I don't know. If the Big East could have lured Penn State in initially in Notre Dame, they would be what the ACC is today.
Mm-hmm. Right. They just didn't have the market.
They didn't have it.
They didn't have a TV market. It's all about TV marketing.
all about
And that's why the ACC went with Boston College.
Need good TV.
Because that is big market.
That's why the Pac-12 is struggling right now because they expanded. They really don't have the market.
Yeah.
And they're struggling. And I think when they fall, the chips, then things are going to get crazy.
Which I never understood why Oliver Luck took the Mountaineers to the Big 12 until I understood the money from the marketing, from the coverage they were going to get.
Right.
It wasn't about if they were going to win or lose.
And it's made a big difference.
It was about the money.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway.
That's right. Anyway, we're gonna wrap this baby up. That was our football conversation.
It was.
Todd's not a football guy either. Yeah. So we're going to see. You think Holgerson stays then?
I think he stays.
Do you want him,
NAACP.
do you want him to stay?
Go.
Yes. I like him a lot. I think he has done a lot. You got to remember, everybody talks about Rodriguez and oh, look what his teams did, or Dean. They didn't play the competition that we play now,
right?
Week in and week out.
Right.
So
I'm
happy with it.
I want Holgerson to stay.
I do too. A lot.
I like his hair. I like how he gets fired up, just like in the Texas game whenever we got flagged for the horns down. He was over there talking to the referee, and he was like, "We could show him, the state of West Virginia," and he was trying to give him an example. That's kind of cool.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he goes out on the field when there's players injured because Jeff Fisher did that, and Jeff Fisher is, of course, my favorite coach.
Yeah, she said
don't talk about it.
Don't talk about it.
I like Chuck Noll.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
You know who mine is?
Jeff Fisher's my favorite.
Chuck Tanner.
No,
Chuck Tanner.
No, Frank
In
Lopez.
fact, he's
Frank Lopez.
Yeah, I can relate to that guy.
Coach Burner. I like Coach Burner the best. That guy should have went to the Super Bowl.
I'm not big on burnouts.
Nah. Pasco.
All right, anything. The show is now over. Make sure you once again
the show was over about 10 minutes ago.
This Saturday, come down to Shinson. We're going to be broadcasting live for the Shinson Christmas Parade. Hopefully the weather works out. Hopefully the weather's nice.
Supposed to be.
Yeah, well, we'll keep the wood.
hope.
Keep hoping. Thanks to everybody that participated in the turkey trot over the weekend, or I say weekend, last Thursday. And then on the 14th, we had Rick Scott on here earlier. Talking about the big Lumberport Parade, which we'll be doing that also. And if you have any information, go ahead and get down, call down to the mayor's office here in town, and they'll give you any information that you need to know. But ladies and gentlemen, until next time, the newly transformed Chad Puccio, straight from Monongah.
Big improvement. Big improvement.
The director, Darren Harmon over there. We have Cuddles, the moonshine bringer and sex change surgeon. Yes, in the studio.
Man, a few words, Chuck.
Straight from Tokyo, Japan, Bruce Takahashi, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Jimmy Wiz.
Jimmy.
And over here to my right, the best man at our wedding, the Chewbacca of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Todd, Captain Earl Beck. He was an Ohio State Brown Eye fan. And ladies and gentlemen, until next week, you have been listening to Rogan Radio.
Good night.
Good night.